Okay, everybody, I'm so excited about this class. This is Reverend Sue Frederick, and today we're going to start with a pray-in. This class is how to get through the dark night of your soul, or as we were just joking, how to get through 72 dark nights of the soul, or however many we have in a lifetime, because they are a constant process of growth here, and we're called to awaken. And if we're really determined, sometimes we will plan in these crisis moments. So today we're all about looking at that, what it is to be human here. And let's close our eyes and pray in right now. Take a deep breath with me. And as we lift up our frequency to align with gratitude, to align with joy, to align with understanding and wisdom, we remember that our souls have a plan for the life and that we are all perfect in the divine realms, filled with love and wisdom and grace and goodness. And when we choose to come to the earth realm, our soul squeezes down into this heavy, dense realm, into a physical body. And the physical self is a very small piece of who our enormous, incredible soul is. And so as we walk this health journey, or whatever journey each of you is walking, our goal today in class is to remember that we are much bigger than the physical self, much bigger than the physical world, and much bigger than the human ego mind that wants to pull us into our fear, our darkness. And so today we open our hearts with gratitude to get the wisdom that we're all calling for, knowing that every group comes together on purpose. And we are honored to be in this group today as we learn from and with each other. And so it is. Hello, my beloveds. This is a wonderful class. I'm so excited about teaching it today. I had so much fun making your workbook. I hope you've all had a chance to look at your workbook. And if you haven't, I put it in the chat. So just go to the bottom of your screen and click on chat, and you should see a link to the workbook that I sent you. Um, it's not necessary. We're going to have many things to talk about today, but I had fun creating it and I thought it might be helpful for you. I also want to thank all of your beautiful questions, which I've been receiving. You're such a wonderful group of souls. You've just bared your souls so much in these questions, and I'm so honored to talk about them. So these questions will inform many of the things that we're going to cover today. And don't worry if you haven't sent in your question, you will have time to raise your hand and speak up and ask a question. Um, but I do want to start with one question that I thought was quite interesting. And this is from a client and somebody who knows my work. And she wrote, do we plan everything that we experience in this lifetime? I know we have free will, but I always thought of it as the small will. We can turn this way or that, but never far from our path. Is this true? Is it true that death or traumatic experience can happen that was not planned for by our soul before the incarnation or during it? So, that is such a great question. I mean, that brings us right to the core of the matter of this class. Do our souls plan these journeys? And why would we plan in suffering and struggle? And many of you have taken my classes, you know how I talk about this. And to cut to the simple answer, your human mind did not plan suffering and pain. Your human consciousness only sees the physical world and the problems in it and feels the heaviness of the physical body and is mostly ruled by the ego mind, or what we can call the monkey mind, the human mind, that loves to just focus on the hard stuff, on the pain, on the doubt, on the fear. The monkey mind of humans is all about that. And we can forgive it because its job is simply to keep us alive here. And when you look at your mind and your ego as acting to help keep you alive, acting in your favor, you no longer have to feel that that's the enemy. It's just your very over-worried, protective friend. And that over-worried, protective friend that we call ego is always saying, oh, you better not take that career risk. Oh, you better not end that terrible marriage. Oh, you better not pursue a different health path because you might die. It might destroy you. And the ego's only concern is keeping us alive and well in the physical body. Well, I'm here to remind you that that is a very tiny part of who you all are, who we all are, that we have this enormous oversoul, higher soul guiding us, uplifting us, trying to help us remember why we came to Earth, that we did come with a plan to live up to our greatest self, our greatest potential. But sometimes we fall asleep here, and so we may have programmed in some wake-up calls. In fact, in numerology, we talk about the 9-year reinvention cycles being our consistent 9-year wake-up calls in our human life to make us come up for air and question things and look at the big picture and do a mini soul review, which we'll be doing today as well. But we also have the 2 Saturn returns in our late 20s and our late 50s that are designed to wake us up to our higher self. And we have these I wouldn't say random, we have these unexpected dark nights of the soul that come to us when we're least expecting it. But they are always serving our highest good. And what I would say to answer your question, I do not believe, from my experience of talking to the guides and the higher souls and the higher beings, and my own connection with departed loved ones and with the God consciousness source, I do not believe that things here are ever a mistake. They are always acting in alignment with this universe. Do you see this graphic behind me? Some of you know that that's from a vision I had in 2014. It inspired my book, Through a Divine Lens. And the whole message that the angels and the guides were giving me is that things can look very dark on Earth. I was pulled away from Earth and looked at it from a distance, and you could see this river of light moving around planet Earth, waking up all the dark places and shedding light on them. It was a in motion process. And I asked the guides and the angels, what is happening there? What does that mean? And they said, you have to remember, Sue, that darkness is only the lack of light, and that light is always more powerful than darkness. Each soul on earth carries light in their heart, in their wisdom, in their love. The minute they remember that, open their heart, lift up and send positive gratitude, sweetness, love to their problems, to the world, that light beam shoots up from their consciousness and illuminates the darkness and awakens others to carry their light beam. So that's our role here, that whatever terrible things we're facing, and trust me, I've worked with people facing incredible challenges, including, to me, the hardest one, the loss of a child. And how I view that, and I'm talking especially to you here, Colleen, is that it means you're very evolved, brave souls who agreed to come to Earth with an enormous plan of awakening yourself, because your child was already a highly evolved soul, or they wouldn't have left early, that they just weren't meant to stay here long. They didn't need to. And so by that awakening of you, of breaking your heart, you are now going through the process. You're still very fresh in it, but you're going through the process of re-examining your spiritual life, your spiritual viewpoints, going through your dark night of the soul. And you'll be using these tools we're going to do today to help you remember and Kim as well lost a child. I'm sure many of you have, and my heart is with you so much. I'm very much involved with helping parents heal, and all the beautiful parents who've lost children who are working so beautifully to connect to those gorgeous children in spirit. Everything we're going to do today will be helping you align yourself to the higher frequency where you feel that connection. The only thing that keeps us from feeling our guides, our departed loved ones, our angels, our God consciousness is our own human mind, ego, that gets lost in the details of fear and negativity of the human earth. So let's start talking about how we shift. And I'm just gonna, I see I have some chats. I'm just gonna look at these. Um, so Peggy, I emailed you a workbook and it's here in the chat. And so if you don't have it, I don't know what to tell you. But right now I'm going to share it on my screen. Let's see. All right, people. So also I'm going to call on, is my beautiful friend Margaret here right now? I have to go look at the list.
I'm here.
Okay. Margaret, would you be my health watch keeper? And what that means is at the top of every hour at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, I need a 5-minute break to stand up and move around and use the restroom. I'm still recovering from surgery. It's only been 6 weeks since I
You
had.
read my mind. I was thinking about that this morning.
Oh,
Like,
good.
gotta make sure she takes a break.
I was sending you that thought, Margaret.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
saying, you're going to be with me today. You've got to remind me, and we'll all take a 5-minute break at the top of the hour because when I sit too long, it almost compresses my abdomen, and that's not good as I'm healing. So, all right, so that'll be a good health break for all of us. So I hope you all can see what's on your screen here. It's the workbook. And again, we've talked about this vision, which is just simply the reminder that we are light, that we are, as they said in the 70s, we are stardust. Joni Mitchell said that. And she's right. Look at this. These lights are shooting up from our souls, our hearts. This was my vision, how the angels showed it to me in 2014. And this vision has carried me through so many of the difficult times we've had on earth in the last few years, and always trying to see, there is light in this and we're going to find it. And I would also say that the angels have appeared very vividly to me in the past year. And this is the one that came to my room while I was working with a client on Zoom I think it was October or November. And she communicated with me, told me she was my angelic realm mother. And I've often wondered then, did she come to heal me or did she come to get me? Because then I went through a huge health crisis and almost crossed over. And my beautiful friend Michelle said, she didn't come to get you, Sue, or you would be gone. So, and that is the truth. If an angel or a being comes to get you, you can't say no. You have to go. So there's no shifting that if it is your final like hard exit point. And that's another question I got too. That, can you have a hard exit point at the end of your, time that you've agreed to be here and then talk your way out of it? What I've been shown is that we have a few different potential soul exit points, but it's our soul that decides at each of those if we've completed our mission, if we're ready to go. And so nobody tells us what to do, but if an angel shows up to take us, it means we've made the choice. The other thing I'll say to all you beautiful moms is that if you're worried that maybe your child could have talked their way out of leaving, please let me comfort you to understand that that is not true. A highly evolved child who exits early, that is their hard exit point. They are not going to program that in as a maybe, because they would know that the little human part of them that would have to make that choice could never make that choice. And so the soul has to make it as the hard exit. So let's look at this 7-step outline for today. We're going to seek the higher meaning, the soul's view. We're going to shift our frequency by seeking the light. We're going to rewrite the soul plan. Don't worry, we don't have to rewrite it. I'm just going to show you the process, walk you through it. We're going to reaffirm our trust in the goodness of this divine order universe, no matter how it looks to us in the moment. And we're going to play with numbers and trust that they're always, again, acting in our favor, trying to guide us, trying to comfort us. And you're going to view your challenge that you're currently facing from the afterlife. That's a very cool thing. And you're going to graduate as the spiritual rock star you came to be. And don't worry, there's going to be question in it, so you'll have a lot of opportunity to speak up. But the first point of seek the higher meaning, the soul's view of this challenge, that sounds hard, but really it's just about asking to be lifted into your soul's perspective, because we all know when we're not in it, because we feel bad, we feel afraid, we feel lost and hopeless. That is never your soul talking to you. And the minute we call out, and I always say, the angels are the first responders. Their job really is to show up when we call out, and even before we call out, and say, would you like to see this from a different perspective? And I'm just going to show that beautiful picture again. They are around us all the time saying, let us light this up for you. Let us show you a different way. But the human mind, the ego mind, is so comfortable with the darkness sometimes that we'll just want to dig down into that. And that's part of our human experience. And I am not in any way calling any kind of judgment on that, because we are walking in the human dense realm of earth, and the energy is so heavy and so thick. So never beat yourself up for having the human experience, having pain, having grief, having negative emotions. You agreed to come here to experience these things because they help you grow and awaken and evolve and become a higher frequency being, and because we're trying to shift Earth to a higher frequency. That's our job. So when you feel that darkness, and you guys know I've been through many dark moments, and my most recent one was getting the diagnosis of colon cancer, just like my husband Paul died from in 1980. And to me, that was like, are you kidding me? Cosmic joke moment of my life. And so, yeah, that evening, I had to battle my, oh my gosh, this can't be happening. I'm so upset about this. I've eaten healthy my whole life, blah, 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 blah. The whole story played out in my head. Why would Paul, departed spirit, who's always been guiding me and helping me, he promised I would never get sick. Why would he have allowed this to happen? I just went through the whole rabbit hole. But the minute we say, okay, angels, lift me up, show me a different way, like this last point says, you start to feel calm. You start to feel surrounded by loving grace. And you begin to see a new sense of purpose. Your purpose can be simply to figure out what this means for you, what your soul is trying to learn from it, what you are being asked to change for your highest good, what you need to let go of, and what can your new and better life look like if you embrace these steps. So every one of you can take a moment, because I've got so many of your problems and questions here in front of me, and just take a moment to contemplate, what is your soul trying to help you learn in this moment? If your soul is acting in your favor, as it is, nothing here is acting against your highest good. And then ask, what am I being asked to change so that I can live up to my highest good? What do I need to let go of? What could my new and better life look like? So I'm going to put us back into Zoom here and stop sharing. So does anyone want to unmute and just address this question of everything we just talked about? Are you able to ask yourself those questions? And do you get clear answers, or what is your question to me about it?
Sue, after I wrote the question to you last night about what I feel like my stuckness is, this morning I have a ritual with my oracle cards, and I had it long before Ted passed. But when he passed the morning after, one deck of the angel cards has just been like, it's blue, it's the peacock blue. I'm like, it was Ted. So this morning when I got up and I drew his card, here's what it said. It is safe for you to be powerful. You know how to be powerful in a loving way that benefits others as well as yourself. So
Beautiful,
it's
Mary Ellen.
it's the human doubt. That's
Right.
the biggest obstacle is I'm still,
Yeah.
it's the humanness. I have to
Right.
trust us, trust the divine.
But not only that, we have to do our part of it, which is asking. And even by writing a question to me, you're asking. And it's amazing how quickly then you start to get an answer. That's why I love writing and automatic writing. When you make that request, there are some laws in the universe. And one is that the higher beings can't interfere with our direction because we're going to learn from it unless we ask them to. Once we ask them, we are now lifted up. Even just to have the consciousness to ask them for help shows that we're awakening, that we're looking beyond the physical world. So, Mary Ellen wrote me an email with a question, and this morning got a perfect answer to it. And that's exactly what the answer should be, Mary Ellen. That's beautiful.
Yep.
So all of you, whether you write it down or you take a moment today or in your meditation to, I see all these questions here in the chat, whether you take a minute during the day to, quiet your mind through meditation or prayer, or go for a walk where you're quiet, not a walk where you're chatting with your friends, but really a walk where you're just being alone and absorbing nature and asking. Whenever I go for a walk, I am always talking to the divine. I'm always saying, oh gosh, please show me an answer here. Show me what to do about this. And I am always amazed how by the end of the walk, I've got so many answers and so many so much clarity over whatever I'm struggling. So anybody else want to share before we talk about other things like this? Just unmute yourself because I can't see everybody.
I do have
Susie, hello.
yes, I have a I thought I was in a good place and it was gonna be my son's birthday and I thought, well, I'm gonna handle it fine. Well, I didn't. I went into really dark place. And then as I was going through, I did ask, I did pray a lot and I asked my angel. One of the things was why my son left. But anyways, I did get an answer, and the answer was, I did hear it. Not even you could make your son as happy as he is right now. And then I was like, but I was still in a lot of pain. So but then I felt better. So I did thank God for that. But then I asked God, why do you let me go to that place, the dark place where I just want to die? And I heard an answer, and the answer was, when you come out of the hole of darkness to the light, you become stronger, more compassionate, and more loving to yourself and to others.
Oh, Susie, that is so beautiful and so profound and so true. If we didn't each dip into the dark nights of our soul, we would have a hard time with compassion. We would see somebody else going through pain and we go, well, they need to get over that, right? I mean, there are people here on earth who think that anytime anybody is struggling with pain, emotional or physical or any kind, spiritual, that that's their problem, that they're here to win and make money. And if they're not doing that, they're worthless. Well, wait till they have a dark night of the soul because they'll be looking at it differently. We come here not to win, we come here to love, to open our hearts profoundly, not only to ourselves as souls on a hard journey here, but to each other in our darkest nights, in our moments of pain, to be able to say, I see you, Susie. I got you, and your son has you, and all the angels are around you. You are not alone. And even if we have to dip into that dark night, into the grief and the pain and the fear, it's okay. We're on the human realm. I tell you what, there is nobody, maybe the Dalai Lama, but I'm not even sure, who does not have negative human emotions here on earth. So, get over thinking that you should just live in the light 24/7. If you achieve that, I always joke, it means you're done, you're out of here. You'll instantly be lifted up and taken off. And actually, the children who leave early, they are so highly evolved. In fact, often they'll look troubled on earth, but it's because they are angelic souls. They have a hard time being on earth. They didn't come here to stay long. They came here to wake everybody up and leave. So we have to quit judging anything about anyone who exits or how they exit or when they exit and just instead say, oh, soul plan well done, life well lived. Now let me focus on my own and how to live up to my greatest potential here and what is mine to do moving forward. Those are the only things we need to be thinking about and questioning. Thank you so much for sharing that, Susie. And I was just trying to see if you had sent me a question as well. I also want to address another question here. All these questions are so good, you guys. Another question, and this is really important because some of you may have heard of this. She writes, soul wounding, is this possible? Can a lifetime really wound the soul? Can it not be healed while we're on the other side? Can we only heal during an incarnation? I thought only the human body is impacted by pain or emotions or death. So, how can a soul get wounded? So, first of all, let me say, I would never agree that a soul has been wounded. It's not the soul, it's the emotional body here that can be wounded, or the physical body, but not the soul. The soul is an eternal light being filled with God consciousness, filled with unconditional love that is the force of this universe, never damaged. In fact, I told this beautiful woman who wrote this question to throw away the book that she had randomly picked up and read that told her that. And I'm saying to any of you, if you ever sit in a class or a workshop or read a book by anyone who teaches something that makes you feel bad or makes you feel afraid or makes you feel that your soul is permanently wounded or something, get out of that class, because that is not the light here. That is not the truth. And you all know in your heart that your soul is eternal. And I'll tell you, I've watched so many of my loved ones cross over after enormous suffering, not only cancer suffering, but a beloved who was lost in addiction and his body was destroyed that way. And then others, so what I've seen instantly with those beings is that the minute they're out of the body, they're back to their higher self in such a profound way, and they are not wounded at all. And I also take clients to the divine realms, and hopefully we will be able to do some of that today. And when I do, we all instantly feel kind of lifted up and elevated as we travel the divine realms and talk to our guides and our council. It's not, the soul cannot be damaged by the earth realm. Another thing I will say, though, is that when we get back out of the body into the light realms, the divine realms, we will probably spend some time talking to the guides and the higher spirits and our departed loved ones, going, wow, what was that life about? And we'll do a soul review where we look at all of our moments of pain, all of our moments of cruelty, perhaps, or our moments of abuse, our moments of love, our moments of awakening, our moments of fear. And we'll go, wow, I was capable of being loving and courageous every moment of that life. I wish I had remembered that. And we'll make our own decisions about it, but we won't judge ourselves harshly at all. We'll just learn from it and go, wow, that is a hard realm down there. But now I know love is always and only the way through every difficult moment. And so there's no lingering soul damage. And you also hang out in the divine realms studying, if you desire to, where you can go to the Library of Soul Wisdom and read up about the purpose of human incarnation, why humans go through pain. All of that knowledge is available to us. So, no, we don't end up wounded and having to be healed by healers on earth in order to have our soul intact. Forget that. Your soul is capable of healing anybody in the world you put your focus on. That's how powerful you all are. You are not in any way fragile human little beings who need other people to help you. The great awakening here on earth is remembering that we're each here, powerful, part of the God consciousness, and we are each healers, teachers, mediums, whatever we are called to do. We have it in us. We just have to claim it. So I hope that answers your beautiful question. Yeah. And also, that is from a grieving mom as well. And that is such a beautiful example of how grief, the whole purpose of grief, I've always called grief divine mother grief, because grief has been my great teacher in this life. My husband died in my arms when I was 29, and all my friends were getting married and having babies. And I was traumatized by Paul's suffering and his death. And so I went on the journey that grief pushes us on, which is a lot of darkness, fear, anger, pain, and then asking to see it differently, asking to be pulled into the light to understand it. That's when numerology came to me. Numerology is one of those beautiful, helpful things the universe gives us, astrology, numerology, all kinds of stuff, to help us remember that we're divine beings. We're more than physical beings. So, you know, in my journey, that was one of the tools that helped me wake up. So we will be talking about that today. All right, so I'll either go to the next point, unless there's one last question somebody has before we move on. All righty. So now, and I see all those chats, but I really can't get into them unless, Margaret, you can decide if you think any of those questions need to be addressed at the moment, because I can't really see them very well. So let me share here. So now we are talking about shifting our frequency. I just want to make sure you guys understand what I mean by that. It's a very simple thing. When we're in our pain, and Susie just described it perfectly. She said, you know, she goes into that dark night of grief, and we know when we're there because we are angry, afraid. You know, when I got my diagnosis in the hospital recently, you know, my husband Gene said, all your girlfriends want to come in and, you know, love on you. Can you do that? And this was not during the surgery. During the surgery after that, I said yes, but this was right the day of the diagnosis. And I said, no, 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 I got to get through some of this on my own, have my own talks with the guides and pull my frequency up. And that is our job. And this is what I say to all of you, whether you're facing a health crisis, a grief moment, a money crisis, a career crisis, you have one job. Shift your frequency more into the light, the hope. There is always a moment of hope in that darkness. So you can make this very practical. So for example, you find out a loved one has crossed over, you're in a pit of despair. Someone comes into your life and not only gives you the usual kind of let me cook you some food and help you, but they're also talking to you differently about it and saying, oh, I feel their soul with us. Do you feel that? And you go, you have a choice. You can either start talking to them like that and see if there's an opening, a little hope, a little light, or you can choose to just stay in your pain. And that's our human free will. And that's our choice. But the minute we say, I'm willing to move to the light, there is a shift of frequency because you have a pathway through each moment. I promise all of you, you do. You have a pathway through it. But the human mind is not going to reveal that to you because it's all happy about the fear and the anger and keeping you alive, locked down. But the minute you say, show me the pathway through this, you find that light. And fear is not real. Fear is simply the mind killer. It stops us from finding that light. So as we shift our fear into a higher frequency, we're able to rise above it and see our way through. So what are the ways that we shift frequency? They're so easy. And this is what's so funny about human life. We think it's so hard to shift frequency. But right now, each of you, close your eyes, and I want you to picture and see something or someone that you're very, very grateful for. Whether it could be a cat, a dog, a person far away. It could be a person in spirit. It could be your departed child or husband in the spirit world. And just say, I'm very, very grateful for your presence in my life. I love you so much. And just send that to them. And then you can also just say, I'm very grateful that the sun is shining in my window. Ah, just feel that. I'm very grateful that I'm still here on earth, so I have a chance to learn what I've come to learn and to end up helping others the way I've wanted to help them. Let's find that gratitude. In your life, there is something for you to feel grateful for. We can even say thank you to our departed for breaking our hearts wide open and making us have to go on a spiritual awakening journey, even if we didn't feel that we wanted to. We are now opened up and asking the good questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Why do I have to stay here? Where did my loved one go? Those are the important questions of human life. Feel grateful that your departed put you in the place to ask that. Now, let's take another energy shifter. Let's send unconditional love to somebody. So you might think this is hard. How can I unconditionally love somebody? I have trouble loving people in my life. I see their flaws. That's your human self talking. That's your ego, human mind. Of course, you see the flaws. However, when we love unconditionally, we are lifting up to a different frequency and simply seeing ourselves and other people as courageous souls on a journey of awakening who came here to Earth with a huge intention to wake up to the higher consciousness here and love on people and be a good player here. And so when you shift into that awareness, that memory that that's our intention here, you can love on anyone. So for example, a great exercise is if you're, and I know all of you are warriors already, so you know this, but if you're in the hospital and you're going through a crisis, any person who walks in the room, even a nurse or a doctor or somebody who might be annoying you, You simply turn on the unconditional love to that person, even if you don't know them at all. You simply send pure love to them. And you can even say, gosh, I love your hair, or I love the shoes you're wearing. Oh, thank you so much for coming in to talk to me. Whatever gratitude, whatever unconditional love you can send out to them, especially in a moment of crisis, it shifts you to a higher frequency. Okay? Yes, you can do this for selfless reasons. It makes the other person feel good, but I'm just telling you, it's going to make you feel good. It's going to shift you into a higher frequency. And there was one moment in the hospital when I was hemorrhaging and I was terrified, and I didn't feel like people understood what was going on, or, well, they didn't understand. And I was really scared. And yet, any nurse, any tech person who was there trying to help me, I just had to look at them and send them pure love, and even say things like, do you have children? Tell me about your children. And when you shift like that, your pain diminishes. Greatest trick in the universe. Your personal pain diminishes when you focus on the unconditional love that you are capable of. This love pours in through the top of your head, through you, because it's part of God consciousness, and you're part of God consciousness. And your job is to open your heart chakra and pour it out to the world unconditionally. Now, you've done laughter, you've done gratitude. Oh, no, we haven't done laughter. I need to talk about laughter. Laughter is also the easiest way, in my opinion, to shift frequency. And some of you know what I'm talking about, that we simply need something to laugh about with our girlfriends. That's why I love my girlfriends. I always say my girlfriends have to have two qualities. Number one, they have to love to laugh. Number two, they have to have a spiritual perspective in them. And so every girlfriend I have loves to laugh, loves to process life through a spiritual lens. Pick your company, pick your girlfriends, click carefully, because those are the people who will then show up in your dark night of the soul and go, hey, do you want to watch a comedy movie with me? Or look at that. Oh, wait, now you'll lose those 10 pounds you've been trying to lose. I mean, all these things were ways that I laughed with my girlfriends. When I got my dark night of the soul diagnosis, the first thing I did that night was put on one of my favorite comedy movies called Ghost Town with Ricky Gervais. And the Ghost Town movie is on Netflix or Prime Video. It came out 20 years ago or so. 2008 or 9, but he is a grumpy dentist who dies during a colonoscopy. It's so ironic, right? And comes back to life. He had a near-death experience in the movie, and so now he sees departed spirits, and they're all coming to him going, you have to go comfort my mom. You have to tell her I'm okay, or this or that. And he's now like walking through the streets of Manhattan with all this parade of departed souls, trying to get their message to their loved ones. And it's so funny. And I believe that's how it works. So I loved watching it again and again. So find your frequency shift humor movies, whatever they are, and be able to put them on and watch them when you're in the dark night of the soul. Allow yourself to laugh. Laughter is the frequency of God. And sometimes when we're grieving, we believe, or we've been told, that if we laugh, it's showing that we're not devastated by the loss of our loved one. No, rethink that. Your loved one is out of body around you, filled with light and happiness and laughter and love. And they're trying to get you to laugh. They're trying to make you shift up into a higher frequency. And when they watch you walking around and being miserable, they're like, come on, mom, look over here. This is funny. Let this make you laugh. And that's our job, is to shift that frequency. laugh more here on earth, it's part of the God source frequency, love more, be more grateful. And the minute we try to do those things, we're lifted up to where now we feel the guides, we feel the angels, we feel the departed loved ones, and we recognize and remember that we are part of the God source. Any questions or comments?
Sue, we're coming to the top of the hour and there's a question. I
Yes.
don't know if you want to answer the question. And
Yes,
then
let's do the question.
Okay. I have read that everything is already, quote, done, past, present, and future, yet we are only experiencing the now. We are already home. Thoughts?
So whenever I hear those kinds of questions, here's my response is, when you look at it that way, how does it help you? Does it help you shift? Does it help you feel love? Or does it in some way make you afraid or confused? The world is filled with very conceptual ideas of how this works, right? Because everybody's trying to figure it out. And so, the quantum physicists say we're all energy and it's all happening at once. And that is true. We are all energy beings. We are all part of the energy soup that is this reality. And things are all happening at once, meaning past, present, and future is all playing out at once. But in our human mind, we can't grasp that. And we didn't come here to try to live all at once in many different realities. We came here to try to focus on the one that we're aware of right now and move through it with our love, with our light. I was at the Sedona Ascension Conference in March. And it was filled with people talking about how this is a virtual reality or a sim program, and there's many realities. And those people were not happy. They were very afraid and confused. And I would watch them talk about it and I'd go, gosh, you guys, if you really believe that, how is it helping you right now? Yes, we could be on another galaxy, living another life, and we could be in the divine realms, living with the higher consciousness beings. But my consciousness at this moment is right here with you, living this life. And so I'm going to focus on what is my best way to do that and to bring my light to the world. Does that answer that question, I hope? All right. Is there another one?
Yes.
Okay.
It's yes. Thank you, Jenny. Also, I included the soul path calculator in the chat. So while we're on break, maybe if you guys want to get your numbers together,
Yes.
So that when we go, I'm sure Sue's going to discuss it, you'll have them ready to go.
Yeah, that's perfect. Margaret, you're so awesome. Thank you. Yes, when you go to the soul path calculator, just either write down everything it tells you or take a screenshot of it. And we will definitely come to talking about your soul path. Actually, the next thing we're going to is our soul path, I think. Yeah, looking at my. So when we talk about rewriting the soul path, which is our next discussion, it's good to have an idea of what numerology tells you is your soul path. You can have your own understanding of your soul path. You don't need numerology, but I have found it to be incredibly helpful. So if it's helpful to you, go to my website, SueFrederick.com, click on the top nav bar, Soul Path Calculator, and look at what it says. And then we'll come back and talk about these soul plans, how we rewrite them if we want to, if we choose to, if we're in the dark night of the soul.